Okay, so welcome back to another lecture. Last class we started the discussion on kinematics of rigid bodies, and we said that the general motion of any rigid body in a plane can be expressed as velocity or can be expressed as the motion of a particular point and the angular velocity about that particular point. So again, angular velocity is of the rigid body. So again, I would like to correct that it's not just angular velocity about a point, but it is the angular velocity of the rigid body. So the velocity of a particular point and the angular velocity of the rigid body, we can express the motion of any general rigid body. We use this concept to for this example, what you can see on the slides here. So if we have two sliders moving horizontally and vertically, and then we have this connecting rod AB, which is connecting the two sliders, and it is having a general motion, then the motion of ends A and B can be represented by what is called as a velocity diagram, something like this. And using this concept of relative velocity, we can draw this diagram, and that's how we calculated the velocity of one point with respect to another point. And we also calculated the angular velocity of this rod at a particular instant. This is what we calculated, right? Now we will take another example and I'll move to, okay, I'll show you the example here. Is the example of a slider crank mechanism or system which is there in the IC engines, compressors, right? So that's the idea, that this AB rotates and then this piston moves up and down, left and right. And the idea is to calculate the velocities in this system. So I'll show you it on this page here. So again, it's a review of what we have done. So we are again going to draw what is called as the velocity diagram, and learn some of the calculations, how to do the velocity analysis for connected rigid bodies, right? So now this is what is called as a slider crank mechanism. Again, the names are not so important. Mechanical people will do it in much detail in your future courses. But right now, let us say that we have this something like this. So this is the diagram A, B, and let's call this point as point D. And yeah, that's it. So I can draw this as a more, sketch of this thing. And if I want to draw it as a pin diagram, I can draw it like this. Same thing. The question is that given omega of AB, let's say this is given to as omega and this is known to you, right? So let's say we are given that this rotates with an angular velocity of omega, given the omega and the geometry. So the geometry is known in the sense that length AB is known, BD lengths are known, angles, these angles are known. So let us say this angle is, I'll draw it here. So this angle theta is known, this angle, let us say it is beta, this, so all lengths, theta, beta, these are all known. So these are the given parameters, and then we want to find out the velocity of piston, or this point, which is point D, right? So we want to find what is the velocity with which this is moving, right? So that is the question. So we have seen some of these similar examples in your force analysis. So given a certain moment, what should be the force applied here so that this is stationary, or these are in equilibrium. So those things we have seen before, but now this is a velocity analysis and kinematic analysis for a system of rigid bodies. So these are connected together, and we want to find the velocity of piston, right? So that's the question. Now, how do we approach this kind of problem? Let's take this diagram A, B, and D, and let me copy it. Okay. So the first thing we know that this omega is given to us. So this omega is given to us. So therefore, I can calculate the velocity of point B. So this is known, right? So in fact, I would put a double arrow here. So double arrow means I know the magnitude and I know the direction, right? So so vectorially this is equal to your omega vector cross r vector, and more specifically RAB vector. So so this is completely known. The magnitude is known and the direction is known. So magnitude is omega r, where if r is your length LAB, and the magnitude and the direction is perpendicular to AB. We know that if this is rotating like this, so this will have velocity something like this. So VB vector will be something like this. Okay, so that is one thing that we know. The second thing we can write is, after we observe things from B, I can observe point D with respect to point B. So I can write the velocity of point D is equal to velocity of point D with respect to B plus velocity of B. Again, it's a vector equation, and we are using the concept of relative velocity. So the velocity of point D can be expressed as the velocity of point D when observing it from B plus the velocity of point B, which is known. So in this vector equation, this term is known completely. This term we know completely, and we have drawn it here as well. The next thing is velocity of D with respect to B. Velocity of D with respect to B, we have seen yesterday that, or in the last class, that this velocity will always be perpendicular to BD. It can never be along BD because it is a rigid body. So it will be perpendicular to BD, and its magnitude is going to be omega BD times BD. That's the magnitude, omega r, right? So the length here is BD, and if this rigid body BD rotates with an angular velocity omega BD, which we do not know. In fact, that is another thing that we want to find. So we want to find the velocity of piston, and let's say we also want to find the omega of BD, of this connecting rod BD. So here we know magnitude, we know the direction, but we don't know the magnitude, right? And coming to velocity of point D, we know that this thing will be along horizontal, right? So this will be It will be along the horizontal direction. And the direction, so direction is known, but magnitude is not known. So in this vector equation, it's a 2D vector equation. We have got two unknowns. And it's a 2D equation. So therefore, this represents two scalar equations. So the idea is we can solve this, thing here. So how do we solve it? This term we have drawn it. So this is VB vector. Now on this vector, I'm going to add this vector VDB. VDB is perpendicular to this, right? So this is the direction. And in this direction, I will draw something like this, right? So this direction and this direction, they are parallel. And this is perpendicular to VD, right? So this direction we have drawn here. And then this vector added with this vector should lead us to a vector which is horizontal. So this is the ground point, and then it should lead to a vector which is horizontal. And the intersection point is this. And therefore, this is your vector. This is the vector VD vector. And this is the vector VD with respect to B. And this completes the vector triangle. And either you can draw it, in the geometry sense, geometrically, you can get a geometrical solution, or we can, even see the angles. So if you want to see the angles, let us see the angles. So this gray line is perpendicular here, and this angle is theta. If this angle is theta, then this is 90 minus theta, and therefore this angle becomes theta, right? So this angle is theta. And if this is theta, then this angle is 90 minus theta. This we know. Next is about this angle here. This line, this line is perpendicular to BD, and therefore this, yeah, so this is perpendicular. This is the direction of BD, right? This angle has to be beta, and this angle is beta. This is 90 degrees. So therefore, this angle is 90 minus, no, this is beta. This is 90. So this angle is 90 minus beta. And if this is 90 minus beta, then this angle is again 90 minus beta. So this completes the triangle, and now even analytically we can write the equation. So the only important thing was to draw this triangle and get these angles. Once this angle is known, we can write the sine law. So I can write that VB magnitude divided by sine of 90 minus beta is equal to VDP divided by sine of 90 minus theta is equal to VD divided by sine of, that is 180 minus theta. So this will be theta plus beta. Right? So 180 minus this angle plus this angle, so it becomes theta plus beta. So that's the your final equation, and from here this equation you can get all velocities, all angular velocities, everything. So VB is omega times AB, which is given to us. this sine 90 minus theta becomes 90 minus beta becomes cos beta is equal to v dp divided by cos theta is equal to vd divided by sine of theta plus beta, right? So from this equation, given theta and beta, which you can calculate, you can calculate vd, right? This term is known, so vd can be calculated, and similarly vdb can, the velocity of d with respect to b can also be calculated. And once this is calculated, you can also calculate your omega of db, what is the angular velocity with which it is moving, right? So the direction of omega db can be determined by the direction of this vector v db here. So this vector is going upward, means with respect to point b, point d is moving upward. So if this has to move upward, means the omega of db has to be anticlockwise like this. Then only d will move up with respect to point b, right? So the angular velocity direction is obtained by this velocity direction, right? So so this is the analytical solution, and now you can plug in the values and you can get the numerical values. So straightforward. Okay, now next I'll add here another thing called as acceleration analysis, right? So now we are moving next step, which is the acceleration analysis. And again, I'll copy this diagram. Okay, so we have done the velocity analysis using the velocity diagram. Now the next question is different. So now the question is, given geometry is given to you, omega of AB is given to us, and let us say I'm giving a simple analysis here. So let us assume this to be constant. Although there can be an alpha of AB as well, but it will make things a little complicated. And for right now, just for learning, let us assume it to be constant. So given these values, from velocity analysis, we have solved for omega BD is known and velocity of point D is known, right? So this is what we have done in the last section. Now, then what we want to do, what we want to find right now is alpha of BD and the acceleration of point D, or acceleration of the piston. So we want to find these two values, and how do we do that? Acceleration analysis is a little bit more involved compared to the velocity analysis. But again, the idea is very much similar to what we have learned in velocity analysis. So the first step is we write the acceleration of known point. So the point that we know completely is point B. So acceleration of point B, I can write as omega square times r, which is AB. And this is along AB towards A, right, towards the center. So this is the centripetal acceleration. of point B, because considering the pure rotation of rigid body AB about point point B is having omega square r acceleration directed towards the center, right? So this is the acceleration. So this is one thing that we know completely. The next thing is observing point D with respect to point B. So now if I observe, or I would write acceleration of point D with respect to point B. Now this is a rigid body, something like this. This is point B, this is point D. And now this body has an angular velocity we have seen in the last section, and we have calculated that. Let's say this is known. But this body will also have an angular acceleration, which we do not know. So acceleration of D with respect to B will have two components. One is acceleration of D with respect to B, the normal component, and acceleration of D with respect to point B, which is the tangential component. So there will be two accelerations here. This acceleration has got a magnitude of omega BD, omega square R. So again, omega square times BD. So this is the normal acceleration or centripetal acceleration of point D with respect to point B, and this is directed towards the center. So this is ADP normal. And this is completely known. I know the direction, I know the magnitude, right? Both things are known. The next comes acceleration of point D with respect to B, the tangential component. So since this body has got an alpha, this point will have an acceleration. Either it can be in this direction, it can be in this direction. We don't know the direction of alpha, right? So, but its line of action, or if its line of direction of acceleration, we know that it will be perpendicular to BD. This much we know. So this is acceleration of D with respect to B, tangential component, and we know only the direction, and its magnitude is alpha BD times alpha R times BD, and we don't know the this thing is not known, but the direction is known, magnitude is not known, right? Okay, and after adding these, now let us write the relative motion equation. So acceleration of point D with respect to the ground is equal to acceleration of point D with respect to point B plus acceleration of point B, vector equation. So now I can draw this, I can represent this vector equation as a diagram. The acceleration of point B is, the geometry is known. If you know that this angle is theta, this angle is theta, this angle is beta. So if theta is known, so this will be along that theta direction, right? So if I consider this as the 0 point, then this is the direction of acceleration of point B, which is a fully normal acceleration, right? Because I have assumed that alpha of AB is 0. So this is the normal acceleration, but this is the total acceleration of point B. Okay. So this is this thing that we have drawn here, right? So we know the direction, we know the magnitude. Now next is acceleration of D with respect to B, the normal component. So I'll rewrite this equation. I'll say this as ADB normal acceleration plus ADB tangential acceleration plus AB. Okay. This we have drawn. Next is ADB normal. ADB normal means this one, which is omega BD square times BD. So we can calculate this number. Again, I'm not taking a numerical this thing, but if omega BD is known, you can calculate this number, and this number will turn out to be some number. So let us say it turns out some arbitrary number, and we will draw this along the this beta angle, right? So, and we will add it on here. So on this tip, we will add a vector. Let's say it turns out to be something, a long vector. Okay, let's make it a little shorter one. It's better. So let us say, okay, it's a short, omega value was less. Let's assume that. So this is at an angle of beta, and this is AdB, normal acceleration, whose value is omega BD square times BD. Okay. Next is acceleration of dB tangential. So acceleration of AdB tangential, we don't know the magnitude, but the direction is perpendicular to this normal acceleration. So this will be perpendicular line, something like this. So it can be either in this direction or it can be in upward direction. And after adding this acceleration, so this is, after adding these three accelerations, so 1, 2, and 3, we should get something which is horizontal. Because point D has to move horizontally, right? So if you see the point D, which is your piston, it has to move horizontally by constraint, by design. So if point D has to move horizontally, point D will lie on a horizontal line. So if this was my original, origin or a ground point, acceleration of point D can be either in this direction or it can be in this direction, but it has to be horizontal. And therefore, the intersection of this blue line and this orange line will give us this intersection point, and therefore this vector is acceleration of point D, and this line is acceleration of D with respect to B, tangential component, and this will give you your alpha. So from this, the acceleration of point D is known, the angular acceleration of the rigid body BD is known, and the problem is solved. So I'll go back to my slides, and so this is what we have done. I'll skip this. You can read it later on. We are a little short of time. And again, this is done in, I think, the feet and inches unit, but it's essentially the same idea that we get. Acceleration analysis is what again I have shown here, so I'm not put it in these slides here. The next concept that I would like to discuss is the concept of instantaneous center of rotation. Now, it's a very helpful, useful concept, particularly for doing only the velocity analysis. This concept of instantaneous center of rotation, it's a new concept, but it will not be applicable for doing acceleration analysis. It is just good for doing a velocity analysis, but it gives you answer very quickly, right? If you understand it. Okay, so what is this concept? So we have seen that the motion of any body can be expressed as velocity of a particular point and the angular velocity, right? So plane motion of all particles in a slab can be replaced by translation of an arbitrary point A and a rotation about A with an angular velocity which is independent of the choice of A, right? So as I said, omega is of the body, and now the same velocity, or I can replace this or I can model the system as this whole body rotating about a point, let's call it C, and it is rotating about this point C with the same angular velocity omega at that particular instant. And if this point moves with a velocity v, then we can say that this point C will be at a perpendicular direction to VA at a distance of r, which is given by VA by omega. The velocity of all other particles in the slab are the same as originally defined, since the angular velocity and the translation velocity at A are equivalent. And so it seems that the slab seems to rotate about the instantaneous center of rotation point C. Right? So at this instant, it appears that the body is rotating about point C. So another way, if we have got 2 points, so if I have got point A and point B and the velocities are known, then if I draw perpendicular to these two velocity directions, the intersection point will lead us to the instantaneous center of rotation. And that is the point about which we can assume that this whole body is in pure rotation at this instant. Now, if the velocity vectors happen to be parallel, right? So if these are parallel, then the instantaneous center is at infinity and angular velocity is 0. And if they are the velocity vectors at A and B are perpendicular to the line AB, the instantaneous center of rotation lies at intersection of line AB with the line joining the extremities of the velocity vectors at A and B. Right. So if I have got two velocities like this, then we can get instantaneous center by taking the ratio of their, by using the appropriate ratio and proportion to get the point location of point C. Now let us see how do we use this concept to solve the problem, and let us go back to the problem that we had seen before. So if this is the, we have two sliders A and B, moving horizontally and vertically. We know the direction of VA and VB. So VA is horizontal, VB is vertical. Now, if I want to find the instantaneous center of rotation, then we will draw the line perpendicular to these two velocities. So perpendicular to VA is this line here, and perpendicular to VB is this line here, and this intersect at this point C. And therefore, this point C is the instantaneous center of rotation. And this whole body is rotating about this point C with an angular velocity of omega. And once this is known, we can directly write the equation and get answer in just one line. So we can directly say that omega is equal to VA by AC, which is VA by L cos theta. And similarly, VB is equal to BC times omega. And VA in terms of VB in terms of VA and theta, we can just directly get the answer very quickly. So the velocities of all the particles on the whole rod are as if they were rotated about point C. So the whole system is moving as if it is in pure rotation about point C, but this is only at this instant. At next instant, you can visualize that things are going to change. The geometry will change. The particle at center of rotation has zero velocity. So the velocity of point C is 0. However, the acceleration will not be 0. The particle coinciding with center of rotation changes with time. So with time, this point C is moving, and the acceleration of particle at instantaneous center of rotation is not 0. And therefore, we cannot use instantaneous center for doing acceleration analysis. So acceleration of particles cannot be determined assuming that this whole body is rotating about point C, right? So acceleration analysis cannot be done, but velocity analysis can be done, and it's quite helpful to get a quick answer. So I think that's all for this lecture. Stop this lecture here.